Hi, okay, in this video I'm going to show you something slightly different than the last one, the ultramarine study, which you can probably see up here. Still using just one colour, French ultramarine. I'm going to start with a graded wash. Okay, so this is where the paint is going to get lighter as we go from top to bottom. So here in my wine glass I have mixed up pure ultramarine. I've got my water supply next to me. So we'll start exactly the same as a graded wash, except this time it's a lot darker at the top. Okay, I'm going to add some water. Painted about an inch there, and I've added probably about 10% water in there. You'll have to try this yourself to sort of get to see how it works. Now the thing about watercolour painting, which I'll keep stressing, is you've got to be quick. More water, mix it up, in again, because it will dry quickly. This is I've added my fourth lot of water, so we're getting quite light now. I've got this reservoir of paint that I'm dragging down, but all the time, this is still, you don't want too much, because then it's going to be difficult for you to actually grade it down, because you're just carrying the sediment in the paint from the top of the paper to the bottom. Okay, a bit more water. Just keep pulling it down. More again. Look how faint we're getting now. And that will do. I'm just going to wash that through because I'm going to paint another small landscape on this. So I'm just washing that down, see, letting the paint just fall. That's the way you've got to think of it. Okay, there's quite a lot to talk about in this little section. We've got here on my test paper, you can see the tone I ended up with at the end of my graded wash. Now, the golden rule, if there's a golden rule of watercolour, is you cannot put a lighter colour on a darker colour. So, I have to consider that in the painting, and I've just drawn up a very rough landscape. I don't know if you can see that, but I want to actually paint to a line in this wash to show you, how you might do that. So the tone I have to put on doesn't have to be darker than this, which is this. It has to be darker than the point on the horizon, which it is, because I'm testing it. You're always testing it. Okay, so I'm going to paint to this line. When you're painting to a line, don't try to be too accurate. You won't actually see the pencil. You're best off not spending too much time fiddling with it. And never, ever, ever go back up. You can always just come down. Okay, so I've established my wash line. And now I just let the paint fall down. I'm going to do something different here than in the previous tonal study. I'm going to actually leave behind an area of the lighter tone. It will make sense towards the end of the painting. Starting high to low all the time. A couple of things have happened here. I've got the paint is, because the board's on an angle, is always falling down. I've got a build up of paint there. This is where the paper towel comes in handy. Just dry your brush, and if you just run your brush along there, the dry brush will just suck that all up. That's it. We're into wash number 3 now, still painting to a line. We've got the graded wash here, and straight away you can see how the contrast, the back mountain, because it's lighter here than here, is looking a lot more three-dimensional. You maybe see it a little bit more at the end of the painting. So I've tested my third wash again, just using a slightly smaller brush here. Always advocate using as big a brush as possible. I mean, I'll say 1,000,000 times over, watercolour painting is about speed. The faster you can paint, the more options you have in front of you. Okay, so I'm bringing this wash down. I want to follow this line here again, and then I'm continuing it over the previous washes. I'm following these lines, but the principle is always the same. Let the paint do the work. Okay, and I'll just wash that. No more paint, just straight down to the bottom. It doesn't matter if you just go over the gum strip a bit, actually. It'll just pull the paint right off there, so you'll get the full paper's worth. Again, I've got a build-up of paint there. Just going to take that out. So that's wash number 3. So here, actually, let's have a think. I'll just have to work it out. Alright, we're going to go on 45. So this is wash number 4. You may just wonder how I'm getting these darker washes. I've got always the previous wash in this wine glass, and all I'm doing is adding more neat paint into that. So I'm not mixing up a whole new wash, I'm just adding it in all the time. And I'll show you how I do that at the end. Wash number 4, I'm just going into the foreground here. Just following that previous line. Just keeping that line moving all the time. High to low. And that's really brought that forward. Also actually just going to put a little sort of island in here. So what we've got is this mountain scene with a little tarn. Pick the mountains just because it perfectly demonstrates how we can use our tonal values. Now what you're starting to see straight away here is how this is starting to look white, but we know it's nowhere near white. It's in fact this colour here, but it's starting to shine out purely because of the colours that are surrounding it, which is contrast. That's what watercolour is all about. Great paintings have contrast. So this is wash number 5, and just final one on the foreground. I'll just pick the left hand side, no particular reason. I could have done it on the right hand spur if I'd wanted, but this is the darkest wash. Now over we go. And you see how the paint's really getting thick, sticky. Don't want to go much darker than that. The trick is with watercolour is not to kill the translucency of the paper. You've got to let that shine through. So this is the final study, and there's just a couple of things I want to point out here. Got the graded wash up there, so it's lighter towards the horizon on that mountain shape. But the really interesting thing here is look how the tarn in the middle is almost sort of shining. Now, believe it or not, this colour here is darker than that paper. This colour here is this wash here. That's white, that's the wash. If we just go back, that's the wash, and that's white. It's a complete optical illusion, just created by the surrounding tones. So there we go.